Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunch Break Live, real talk about obesity, food obsession, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Cari and on today's show, thank you, Sine, own your own cart, making the connection between attitude and behavior. Should be a pretty good show, but before I launch into it, let me tell you who I am. I am a 2007 gastric bypass post-op, living life in recovery from obesity and compulsive, obsessive food addiction as twice the woman in half the body. I am also a recovery strategist, and what that means is I help people find the shortest distance between obesity and addiction and recovery. So that's me, and as usual, I'm always dying to know who's here, and what I'm going to do, because I have a jam-packed show, is I'm just going to do a really brief greeting as I scan through. And of course, if this is your first time here, welcome. We are so grateful that you are able to join us. Even if you're watching on demand, let me know if this is your first time. Let me know if you're a newer viewer. Maybe it's your second time, but you've returned because you like what you heard the first time. Let me know. It's always good to hear the stories of where you guys are coming from. So let's see who's here. I see Kathleen Roberts front and center. She beat my mama in. Hi, mama. And the Walmart greeter. She is the Walmart greeter. And so if you see Carol Worth greeting everyone, that's because she's my mom. Hey, Dave Shoemaker. How are you? So glad you're here. And Mary Kay, good afternoon. All right, then. So as people continue to file in and join the program, and even if you don't comment, I want you to know you are welcome, and I am really grateful that you're here. How'd you guys do? Did you have a good weekend? Was it a good weekend for you guys if you're watching me live right now? Hey, Becky, first time watching live. Loved the conversation on yesterday's post. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more today because I think it matters. I think it's important. So thank you, Becky. I'm really glad you're here. And Sorrel, hi, welcome. Come on in. I'm just getting everybody warmed up. I've got some questions for you to answer. You do not have to answer them on the wall, or, you don't have to even flash emoticons or anything. Oh, your grandson is visiting. Yay, that's super awesome, Kathleen. How fun. I don't have one of those. Not that I know of. Anyway, how exciting. Have fun with that. All right, so here's some questions, and your goal is to answer them, but again, not out loud, all right? Because this isn't about shaming or judging or calling anybody out, all right? Any more than my post was the other day. I was not looking for people to go, yeah, I'm guilty. That's not what it is. If you see yourself in these questions, that's super great because it really is an exercise in personal honesty and self-awareness. And that really is very critical, to be able to do that objectively, to be able to assess your attitudes and your behaviors, how the two things are connected. It's very important in recovery. So that's why I do this, all right? So are you guys ready for some fun questions? Get your thinking caps on. And again, I don't need any shaming. I'm not, asking you to shame yourself or feel bad about yourself. I'm just asking you to look at this objectively and say, yeah, I've done that. I've done that, all right? Here we go. Here's the first one. Have you ever taken free samples from the candy bins at the grocery store? I'm talking about the kind that you usually buy by the pound, okay? So that's my first question for you. Again, you don't have to answer. Welcome, Kelly. Come on in. I'm asking everybody questions that they don't have to answer out loud, but I'm hoping that you can answer for yourself, okay? So first one, have you ever taken free samples from the candy bins in the grocery store, the kind that you're supposed to buy by the pound, all right? Next, have you ever paid to see one movie but switched to theaters after that movie maybe a few times and ended up watching like 2 or 3? So you paid for one movie, but you ended up seeing a couple, maybe 2 or 3 movies over the day, okay? All right. Have you ever thrown trash out of the window of your car? You had it in your hand, you don't have a trash bag in your car, it's got to go somewhere, threw it out the window. Have you ever done that? Have you ever taken unopened, unused bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and soap from the hotel room and then requested replacements each day of your stay? Have you ever done that? You guys with me so far? Are you thinking these things through? Are you coming up with answers? Let me know. You don't have to tell me your answers specifically, but are you answering the questions? Are you surprised by the questions? Are you surprised by your answers? That you can answer that part. I would love to know that. You can throw symbols by, you know, like the wow face if you're like shocked. I'm shocked. You can do that. Or, you know, if you're angry, if you don't like the questions or whatever, thumbs up. I see my mama throwing me some wow faces. Hey, Michelle, come on in. I just asked a series of tough questions. So you may have to go back and watch on demand to see the first part. Not surprised. So Kathleen is, yeah, those are not surprising answers to you. You know you're on to you, right? All righty. All right, I'm going to keep going. Hey, Sarah, I'm so glad you made it. I've been asking a series of questions. You'll have to go back on demand to watch the questions I asked before now, but I still got a couple more to go. And these are, hey, Jimbo, I'm so glad you're here. And I am so grateful that Nicole is doing better and better every single day. I love that. I am so grateful. Thank you, God. And thank you to everybody here at Lunch Break Live for praying for Nicole and for Jimbo. It's really, really good news. I'm really happy to hear it. All right. Okay, so Mary Kay says, I've seen people do all that. But again, this is about you. Okay, this is not about other people, right? This is like when you sit down with your kids and they go, but so-and-so did it. You go, but I'm not talking to so-and-so. I'm talking to you. You're my child. So I want to know if these make sense to you and you are familiar and are you surprised by your answers? And again, you don't have to tell me your answers, but it's all about you right now, nobody else. Okay. Have you ever parked by a yellow curb but didn't immediately load or unload anything? Now again, that's the loading zone, okay? So if you ever parked by a yellow curb, maybe you put your flashers on and you did not immediately load or unload anything. Again, you don't have to answer these out loud, but you should answer them for yourself. Have you ever left your trash at the table rather than busing it to the trash can at the fast food place? So you know the trays, and then you take your tray over and you throw the trash in the trash bin, and then you put your tray up in the stack. Have you ever just left the restaurant with all of the trash still on the table and not bust your table? All right. So, pretty good idea. No, you're not supposed to answer out loud, Sarah. Shh. No, these are just for your awareness, to be aware of. Okay. See if anything fits. All right. Why did I ask all the questions that I asked? Because they seem really harmless. They don't seem like they hurt anybody, right? You think to yourself, what's the big deal? Okay, yesterday, as some of you may have seen, and if you haven't, feel free to go back and read it. I also shared it again today so you could get up to speed. I wrote about shopping carts at my local Walmart, and I got a surprising number of responses. Many of the responses didn't seem to be addressing what I'd even written. I've got to tell you, I was really surprised. I was like, but I didn't say that. I wonder why they're saying that, right? Others seemed to be addressing exceptions as if they were the rule. Yeah, but. There was a lot of yeah, butting in response to my observations, all right? And then others seemed really defensive, specifically against my assertions about myself, which I thought was kind of odd because I said, this is me, okay? And they seemed to get really peeved at my observations, including the connection between an unhealthy attitude and an unhealthy behavior, especially regarding obesity. Okay? Boy, once you start making connections to obesity, people start getting very, very defensive. They're very offended. Oh, no. Don't you talk about, how dare you talk about obesity? You do not have a right to talk about, even if it is your own obesity, you don't have a right to talk. Why not? You got to watch the show. You don't have to agree with me, but I have a right to talk about it, right? So some people I found were not happy, about the connections I was drawing. And I thought I was making a pretty clear point. That's the funny thing. It never ceases to amaze me when people begin to say things that aren't what I wrote. And I'm like, where did that come from? And then the wheels came off the cart. I was just like, oh my gosh. I was thinking maybe I've been misunderstood. Now, today, I will just say this. Becca was not understanding where I was coming from or why I was making these assertions, these claims, these observations, because, basically I was saying, people just don't always take responsibility for their actions. And she was shocked because she said, really? I just kind of thought everybody did. So if it is that your experience is one where people always take accountability and are responsible for their actions, then obviously you'd be confused by what I wrote. However, that I was shocked that you had never experienced that. I was really shocked. I was like, wow. But then you live in Kansas, and maybe things in Kansas are a little bit, more responsible, than they are in Southern California. I don't know. But anyway, the essence of the post that I wrote, which you can go back and read, was this. When I went to the cart return corral, that's what I called it, because it corrals the carts. It's like the little lane that you shove them into, right? To grab a cart, I noticed a bunch of them around the corral. So they were like there. Most of them were touching the corral, okay? But they just weren't inside. So they were all the way up to it, but none of them were inside. And I was fascinated by this because there was nothing blocking the way. There was plenty of room in there. It wasn't like it was full, okay? And a majority of the carts had trash in them, including, I love this because there's a McDonald's inside Walmart, right? So McDonald's bags, napkins, empty drink cups, food wrappers, stuff like that, trash, okay? But there was a trash can right there like literally the trash receptacle right there where the cart corral was, okay? And then I also mentioned encountering dirty diapers in the parking lot. That wasn't my experience yesterday, but it was part of my discussion. It was like, what is that all about? I don't get it. All right. The attitude that I ascribed to this seemingly lazy behavior was something that I have heard more times than I can remember, and I'm pretty sure you guys have either said it or heard it yourself. It's not my job. They pay people to collect the carts, so I don't have to, okay? People say that. They don't feel guilty at all. To them, it makes common sense, and they just say, yeah, it's other people's job. It's not my job. Okay, that's what they say. As for the trash, well, this part kind of confused me a little bit because I don't understand that. The people who collect the carts, they say, should empty the trash at the same time. Again, not my job. See, that's part of the cart collector job. That's why they get paid to do it. So really, I'm not doing anything wrong here. I'm just letting the people do their job. That's the conclusion a lot of people have. How about the dirty diaper? I don't get that one. However, there are still some people that will say they have vacuum trucks that drive around parking lots and clean them up every single night. What is one diaper in the grand scheme of things? The vacuum truck, you know what? I don't need to do the job because someone else is being paid to do that. And if I do it, then they won't have anything to do. All right? I remind you, though, that the carts were at the cart corral. I am not talking about all the carts all over the parking lot. I'm not talking about the ones in the far-flung recesses, or just grouping together, having a confab or like a huddle. I'm talking about the ones by the cart corral right there. Okay, so obviously someone had gone to great lengths to make sure they at least got to within close proximity. Maybe they thought they were magnetized and they would just suck in. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'm not talking about the carts that may or may not be in or around handicap parking spaces either, because that did come up and it really shocked me. I get it, that happens, but that wasn't what I was talking about. And I can understand that if you use a handicap spot and there's a cart in your spot and you can't get out of your car and you bang your door, that makes you unhappy. I also understand that if you park in a handicap spot and you need access to a cart and one's not there close at hand, okay. But you know what I've noticed, by the way, just as an aside, a large number of, quite a vast majority of places have the cart corral, area, the return, right by handicap spots. They do. They're like right there. So all you have to do is manage to get out of your car and you can go lean on a cart. And I understand that. I understand the need to have it. But again, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the fact that the carts were not in the corral. And I didn't understand that. All right. So I am talking about people who didn't finish the job they had begun. That was it. They just somehow, I don't know what happened. They didn't see it all the way through. They just got, well, I made it this far. Now, you know what? If I take 2 more steps, I'm not going to make it back to my car. I don't get it. So that was what I was responding to, not judging anyone in particular, but just kind of positing that there might be, a global issue. All right. They might have walked all the way from the farthest parking spot in the lot to get to the corral, okay, but mysteriously shopped just short of finishing the job. I don't get it. All right? So I posited that there might be a connection between the belief that cleaning up your mess is someone else's job and believing that your obesity is a mess someone else needs to clean up. That is what I was trying to connect. Is it possible, I posited, that if we feel that everything we do is someone else's job to clean up, is it possible then that we could carry that through unknowingly to our treatment of obesity and say, we don't do that. It's someone else's fault. It's someone else's problem. I need help. Maybe. That was the whole point of the shopping cart story. In other words, some of us get quite used to not doing the job, not because we can't, but because we don't believe we have to. Do you see that? It was kind of a simple point, but I get it. I may not have written it very clearly. There's always that possibility. But in speaking to you, I hope I'm speaking clearly. Okay, so several responses revolved around reasons people don't put carts away and included everything from having children to being disabled. Of course, none of that had anything to do with my original hypothesis at all, which was that I think it's pretty lazy to walk the cart all the way over to the corral and not put it inside. That's it. That was my whole contention right there. Interestingly, when people talked about having kids or being disabled, they didn't address the trash problem. Okay, but why is there still trash in the cart then? How do you explain that one? I conclude that's because there's really no good excuse or good reason for not disposing of trash properly. I just don't think there's ever a good reason not to. Okay? Except, I don't know, laziness. And maybe that's strong words. And one of Hannah's friends from high school, Kevin, Slothe, they always call him Sloth. Kevin said, look, I may get slapped for making this comment, but I just think people have to be responsible for their actions, And I agreed with him. And boy, for a 27-year-old, that's pretty profound, right? Pretty aware. So, they may be strong words, though, stronger for someone who rejects personal responsibility. People don't like that, maybe. But this was a life lesson, though. This was not a commentary about people of Walmart. A lot of people wanted to make that connection, too. Well, you got to consider where you were. You were at Walmart, right? Well, yeah, I was at Walmart. I shop at Walmart. I like Walmart, okay? So I'm not giving anybody a free pass just because it's Walmart. As a matter of fact, it really wasn't about the carts. That's the irony of this whole thing. That was like a metaphor for the mentality that a lot of us have and may not be aware of. I'm always looking for connections to why it is that we deal with our obesity the way that we do. Where does our attitude, how does that affect our behavior? If we are not successfully treating our obesity, what is that all about? Something's eating you up. Maybe it's this message that says, oh, well, that's because it's other people's jobs. Therefore, I'm going to have that same attitude that says, I can't do it myself. I need someone to help me and do it for me. That happens a lot. That's okay. So all the questions I asked above. Okay. Ever taken free candy samples and said, okay, so let's say you're one of those people that took the free candy sample and you said, it is just one piece. It's not going to hurt anybody. They'll never miss it. Besides, people drop candy on the floor all the time and they don't even pick it up. At least I'm not leaving a mess. Please, what does it even cost? Like a penny? It is not a big deal. Okay? So it seems pretty innocent, doesn't it? It's like, what's the big deal? Got it? Okay? So if everybody did that, would it be a big deal? Probably. It would add up. Those pennies add up, don't they? All right? Do you know when I was growing up, I thought of this when I was writing this out. I was told not to pick flowers when I was growing up. I thought this was so strange. But I was told that if everybody picked a flower, then there would be no flowers for anybody to enjoy. I was confused because I thought they'd just regrow, but I think there was a bigger life lesson there. All I knew was I wasn't supposed to pick flowers. But the idea was if everybody did it, it would be a big problem, right? And just the fact that you think you're the only one doing it, you're not. There's other people doing it. Okay, so about the movie, right? Where I said, did you just buy one ticket and then you see one movie, but then you go theater hopping and you go watch other movies? Okay. Paying for one movie, this is what you might say. Paying for one movie and watching more. Well, come on. Movie tickets are so high priced. And they show the movie, think about this for just a second. They show the movie even if the theater is completely empty, right? They could have 2 people in the theater or have a packed house and they're still going to show the movie and it's still going to cost them the same amount, right? It's not costing me a thing. It's not costing them a thing for me to watch the movie that they're going to show anyway. And you know what? While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and dump the popcorn bucket on the floor and I'm going to leave my empty Red Vines box and, oh yeah, dump out my sugar Coke so that people's feet will stick to the floor. Why? Because they pay people. They pay people to clean up the mess, don't they? Like in between every show. I guess it's just like the airlines. They just come through and they just clean up your mess. And so really that's what they're paid to do. And that's what my ticket price pays for. My ticket price pays to be able to dump my Coke on the floor, please. And as far as tossing trash out my window, come on. The street sweepers are going to be coming by. That's what they get paid to do. They're going to clean it up for me. And besides, The way I look at it, it's like this is payment for me not being able to park on my side of the street on street sweeping day. Okay, so if you look at it, I'm actually giving them something to do. You know, it doesn't cost them any more to pick up my trash. And speaking of parking, here's what I want to know. What is so wrong with staying at the yellow curb a little bit longer while I run in and grab something? Please, I have my blinkers on, and it's not like anybody was going to park there anyway. And I have a knee injury that does keep me from walking very far. And, you know, if they'd had a blue curb, I'd have parked there. But they didn't, so I had to park at the yellow curb. You understand me? Are you following me? And those bottles of shampoo that we're talking about at the hotel, come on. Everybody knows I pay for those. They want me to use them. And whether I use them here or at home, at least I'm using them. And the trash I left at my table. This is very important. I need to make this point. The trash I left at my table when I was at McDonald's. I have kids. Okay? I have kids. I can't leave them alone while I empty the trash. I only have one hand and two kids. And if one hand is holding the tray, how am I going to take care of my other kid? And besides that, the people that work here get paid to clean my table. And they'll do a better job because they have to wipe it up anyway. Okay? So it's not like I'm adding anything to what they're already supposed to be doing all day long. What do you mean? How did I manage to refill my soda with kids? I kept them with me. Okay? Here's the bottom line. Maybe I couldn't help it. Maybe I had a very good reason for not finishing the job. Don't judge me because you don't know me. So, we rationalize and we justify unhealthy behavior so we won't look bad to ourselves or anyone else. And we try to make exceptions the rule. And that means that if it happened to one person, it applies to all people. I don't really think so. I don't really think that's what's meant by tolerance, okay? As for the non sequiturs, you might have to look this one up, you guys, but look, they were coming at me hard and fast. I never park by a yellow curb because my car is red. I have hypoglycemia, so sometimes I need candy really fast. And besides, I don't like chocolate, and I never eat fast food. So I think I pretty well covered all of the responses there, but here's the takeaway from the little story. This is what I hope everybody can take away from this. If we believe that something is not our job or responsibility, then we feel relieved of the obligation to do it. And that can sometimes feed an unhealthy belief that we are incapable, which then translates into a fatalistic way of thinking that says, fat runs in my family, so I couldn't avoid it. I can't fit into a booth at the restaurant, so I just go through the drive-thru so I don't have to get out of my car. I have a bad back, so I can't even bend over to pick up the trash I drop, so it's just going to have to stay there. Help me lose weight. I can't do it alone. I have fat genes and a bad back. It's impossible, but it's not my fault. It's amazing. I mean, I got whiplash just running through that, you know, but it's so seamless. It's so there. They are so similar. They probably happen in the same part of the brain, okay? This isn't about fault or blame. It isn't, or exceptions either. It isn't. It is about looking at your own life and your own attitudes. That's all it is. If this message does not apply to you, toss it. Toss it. Just say, nah. Oh, in the trash can, please, because please don't leave it in the cart. Right? Toss the message, but okay. If you can see yourself in this, then maybe it is time to own your own cart. Got it? Because it will help you, not because it helps me. For me, okay, when I was active in my obesity, it never occurred to me to finish the job because I got very good at not finishing it and asking others to do things for me. I mean, some people would call that a catch-22. Some people would say, so what's wrong with asking people to do things for you? It's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is I got very good at asking and expecting others to just do things for me. And guess what happened? I stopped doing things for myself and started not being able to do things for myself. Ouch. That, my friends, is laziness. For whatever reason, people don't like that word. Maybe you don't like it. I'm not beating you up. I'm telling you that laziness is a part of obesity. It certainly was for me. And it often comes from a very benign place. We don't mean to be lazy, but sometimes it's just easier to be that way. So that is my message about the shopping carts and the connection between a mentality that says, it's not my responsibility, it's not my job, someone gets paid to do this, I don't have to clean up for myself, therefore I don't have to clean up my own mess, I don't have to take care of my own obesity. Do you see what I'm saying? All right, if that doesn't make a connection for you, it's okay. Absolutely okay. So you take what fits and you leave the rest. That's what you do here. I'm not going to force feed anybody. But like I said, if you do toss it out, make sure you get it in the trash can. It's right there by the cart corral. All right, let me see what you guys are talking about briefly. I don't want to go long, but you guys have been talking up a storm out there. And I know people have very strong issues, beliefs about this, very, very strong on either side, right? And they each feel that the other side is just intolerant. It's amazing to me. All right. So everybody's high-ing up there. And Susan, I haven't seen you, my friend, all the way from Florida. Oh, how are you, my friend? I love you. I really miss you so much. Okay. Yeah, but rabbit. Thanks, Mom. You're right. And Cari is here. And Sorrel, very true. I was kicked out of a group for putting up. Yeah, an SMH shakes my head. Exactly. You know what? If you ask me, I don't think that's a group I would want to be a part of because that doesn't sound very helpful to me. It bugs the heck out of you. I've found that people get very defensive when you call them out on their crap. And here's the funny thing. I didn't call anybody out on their crap. I called myself out on my own crap and said, does this sound familiar? Pretty much. But I am going to call people out on their crap for putting the cart right up to the corral and not taking 2 extra steps and putting it in there and leaving their trash in the cart. I will call people out for that. But nobody specifically. Like, I wasn't calling out readers. I'm just saying, come on, you know who you are. All right. I found that people get very, oh, gosh, we see the same, okay, this is Susan. We see the same on the beach every day. Absolutely. I've been out on beach cleanup days, and that is hard work. We now take bags out to pick it up. Oh my gosh, their trash and dirty diapers. Furious. Exactly. It was some of the hardest work, back-breaking work that I ever did on clean up the beach day. Bending over constantly, up and down, and walking through sand. Not easy. You're right. Why do they have beach cleanup days? Whatever happened to leave it cleaner than, where you found it? Steve, hi, welcome. You're here. And Raquel, I'm glad you're here. And Anna and Tina and Sylvia and hi there. You found me live. Woo! I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited too. And Marcia, I haven't seen Marcia in a while. My mother told me I was a lady of leisure. Your mom, Kathleen, says. All righty, we're going through, and your trash, your dirty diapers, your problem. You need to deal with them. Your bad choices, your problem, Michelle says. Well, I think we do need to own our crap, don't we? Own the stuff that we are responsible for. Find ways to handle it. Find ways to take care of it rather than making excuses to not have to deal with it. I guess that's really the bottom line for me. Alberto, hey, buenas tardes. I'm really glad you're here. Let's see. I am just scrolling through here, and I may end up answering you guys. Okay. I wasn't fat because I was lazy, Steve says. I was fat because I didn't make it a priority. You have to really want it to overcome it. That said, successful people put their carts back. They finish their job. Okay, because you didn't make it a priority, does that mean that you were lazy because you didn't think that it needed attention and you just didn't make it a priority? That sounds kind of, I'm not calling you lazy. I've done shows on laziness and selfishness. People hate it all the time, and they don't see things the same way I'm using the word because people feel like it's an indictment, but it's something to think about. In other words, I just didn't make it a priority. I just didn't pay attention. I just didn't handle it. I didn't put energy into it. What I'm getting at is, well, that could sound lazy a little bit. All right. All righty. Elaine, one statement you used or said that we see as help me and do it for me. Yes, to me, help me and do it for me are not the same thing, not the same way of looking at something, right? However, you are correct, Elaine, and I want to tell you that I have experienced this firsthand from people who are saying help me, okay? But they're really in effect saying do it for me because I can't do it. Help. And I'm saying here is how, do this, but I can't do that. I need help. Okay, and then they come back and say, it's so easy for you. So you see what I'm saying? There is very often a subtext there to the statement, help me, that is really saying, please just, I need someone to do this for me because I can't do it. I can't do it. That's where that's coming from. That is not a judgment. That is not saying someone's bad and wrong. That breaks my heart because I believed that. I believed I couldn't do it myself. I believed I couldn't make it happen. I felt helpless. It was learned helplessness. It was. Okay? I feel really bad. When I was saying help me, I was saying, can't you just do it for me? I hear that a lot. I see that a lot in groups. And if it doesn't fit you, I understand that. And you're right. You could say they're two different things, but often they overlap and mean the same thing in a lot of people's minds. Obviously not yours, and that's okay. All right. So that's about it for now. I do see a lot of comments, but it's that, it's the witching hour. It's straight up, and I don't want to go beyond that, but I do want to answer this. And I want you to know, look, I am not pointing at people and saying, you are bad and wrong, you. I'm not doing that. We have to own our own crap. I am busy enough owning my own crap without trying to own your crap for you. I'm not willing to do that. If you find that this does not apply, and you're like, nope, I don't see it, doesn't fit, set it aside. Because there might be something else that comes along that does fit for you, okay? This, however, is how I see it. It's an observation I made. I see a connection, and I do find many other people find the connection as well. Wherever you end up, it's okay. We could still be friends, right? We don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree agreeably. So I'm going to sign off now with a whole bunch of courage, and I'm going to remind you all to have courage and to seek peace, embrace joy, and bravely live your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. Did I say that right? Can't stop feeding. It's a Monday, guys. I hope I got it right. Share the show if this sounds good to you, all right? Oh, I ordered the Recovery Rebel tees today. 35 of them, baby. Woo! They'll be in next week. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.